Most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. That men do not learn very much from the lessons of history is the most important of all the lessons of history. I've been thinking 3 years ago when I wasn't aware of the state of the globe, of the situation that we are in, of the threats that we are facing, of the threats that we are going to likely face. I lived a very normal, happy life, unaware of all the things that's happening around me. But when I did realize and understand the threats and risks that we are facing and we are going to face, it changed my life. This has impacted me in many ways. It has changed my perspectives about certain things drastically. I want to know how did it impact you?
Yeah. Before I tell you how it impacted me, I just have a question. Were you really happy before you know? Are you sure?
I was blindly happy.
But yes, very happy. Work did not disturb you. There are no emotional problems. There are no situational problems. You were in a blissful state. Really?
I wouldn't say I was in a blissful state. That's why I used the word blindly happy. I had concerns, but that was very limited. It was about me, my family. That's it. I didn't see beyond that. I could not see beyond that because I knew very little beyond that.
I think as long as our minds are not freed, uh, they will pick something or the other. It could be something as simple as a kid thinking that Papa did not peel the skin of the apple where he put it in the box, and that's his biggest problem, and he's very disappointed because of that. Or it could be the United Nations Secretary General thinking that climate change is going to be very, very serious and most of humanity is under threat. The amount of space occupied within their minds, it depends on how seriously they take it. It could be that the kid himself is a little more disturbed than the United Nations Secretary General. It's all in the mind. That's one thing. How did it change me actually? Well, there have been multiple ups and downs, and my nature has always been that of that with a spirit of keen inquiry. So it has had its positives and its negatives, but I wish to stay neutral. Not that I haven't made mistakes. I've made plenty. There has been a lot to learn from them. Um, that's what I generally talk to people nowadays, like, because I know making how uh, the mistakes have an impact on each and every person. Moreover, those would be like situational decisions, not exactly planned mistakes. It happens. And somebody might think it was a great grand plan at the end, but the grandest plan is the one that happens in present tense. It happens automatically.
You were an aptitude trainer, and this entire thing that you're talking about today about survival, about the risks, is completely unrelated to what you were teaching and what your main profession was. How did you get to this?
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of spare time. Mm, I was not like full time employed, so I would be a guest for a week, 10 days, 15 days in most of the places. And then um, I could pick up another project if I want to. Sometimes I used to, sometimes I did not. I used to take a month off without accepting any projects, like without going for any training sessions and all. And I clearly knew that no matter how many classes I took, even if I was engaged for the entire month, 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, and I earned to the fullest, that wouldn't make much of a dent in my life. I knew that from the very beginning. And in the first place, I chose that path where, even while, even before I completed engineering, only because I could have that freedom. I could choose to work whenever I felt like working, and whenever I wanted to take an off, I could take for any amount of time, no strings attached. And I wasn't even working for one contractor. There are so many training contractors, and I used to go with different people. Some have companies of their own now, startups. Some still take contracts from colleges and get trainers for them. I was associated with at least, I can say, 60 to 70 contractors over a span of close to 10 years or so. And with through each one of them, I would have been to multiple colleges and multiple sessions. Every time I look at a face, generally it would be a new face. There are exceptions to that, but most people got to see me only for less than 6 hours.
Since you have been training across India, and I guess that is, you mentioned that you've been learning about this in your spare time. I'm sure you would have you would have talked about this with students, with people you meet. How did they react to this?
I don't know, it's something very common in India. If somebody outside India looks at it, they'll think it's very weird. But there are two. The observation is that very few kids, students in India, mm, want to ask questions. Uh, like they don't have anything to ask. If they don't understand, still it's fine. I didn't understand as what they think. If they understood, I understood. That's all. Like questioning, mm, maybe they think it's disrespectful, or questioning might give them additional problems, like problems unrelated. Whatever be the case, um, I've had very good communication with students, and in many places, my session would be the most talkative one. Like that's where students would have spoken the most. But still, when you look at the world average, it's very poor. Uh, there's no questioning mindset. They confuse it with obedience. Like when I even give them
Hmm.
opportunities to ask good questions. Um, I should do something like this, like ask me anything. If I don't know, let me go and learn. Just out of curiosity. I wanted to have this fun. I did it in multiple colleges, and students could not come up with good questions, silly ones, or I did answer whatever questions they asked. It would be unrelated, useless most of the time.
So, apart from them asking you the right questions or questions at all, so this was about students, but specifically when you spoke about the climate risks or the threat, um, did anybody believe you?
No, I did not talk about uh, climate threats except for in one or two sessions. That's it. They were like, um, like they. I think I spoke only once about that the climate is going to change and the future would be much more harsher. This is what the scientists are saying. Just a casual talk at the end of some session, and the students were like pretty angry. It was somewhere in Dakshin Kannada district. And
Angry at you or
yeah, they
with
thought
the situation?
no, no, they did not even believe that the situation was there. They were only angry with me. That I'm only trying to scare. Like I have a very bad mentality, and that's why I'm telling about all these things. Like childish. Uh, they could not comprehend that there could be some problem. Well, their college was near the coastline, so I told them in a few years' time, the coastline will come to your college footsteps because that's what scientists are telling, and they were quite angry with me.
And what made you believe about the, yes, you were studying about it, but back when you were, was it like 6, 7 years ago when you started learning about this?
About the climate
Yeah.
crisis. It's more than a decade now. Um, it's not about belief, it's just observations. So when it's that's in your face, it's not like I believe there's a God, I believe climate change is happening. Those are the wrong words to use. I see the climate changing, I can feel it, I can see what's happening in front of my eyes.
What were some of the observations?
Mm. I've been to the Himalayas, I've seen the glaciers retreat.
Mhm,
Um, I've seen, there are so many photographs also that you can see
mhm.
in black and white, something from 1945. You can see the Gangotri Glacier. You can see the recent peak in the same place, time transitions.
Yeah.
Um, you obviously know that deforestation is happening. You can look at satellite images. If you can use satellite images for Google Maps to see the greenery in a particular area, then I have done that. Like when I travel, I want to find a green patch of land. Then I use the satellite image data on Google Maps and travel to that part. Something similar can be done for the rainforest area, right? You can just see how the rainforest is looking from Google Maps. And you see that again in a year, things change.